Today, we're finding treasure. My grandmother passed away over a decade ago, and turns out she has one more gift for me. She has missing property in the sum of over $1,000. In today's video, we are going over escheatment. Losing someone always sucks. Losing property, money, always bad. Finding treasure, always awesome. That's why we're going to go over escheatment. Escheatment is when you lose something and you find it. If you worked some job and forgot about it in the past or had some old property that just went missing, escheatment brings it back to you. Now, in the event that you've lost a loved someone, in the event that you lost a relative and they passed away and you don't know what happened to their property, escheatment might be your next bet. So that's why in this video, we're going to go over escheatment, what it is, the meaning, how it works, how to find this missing property, and a few escheatment examples that you're gonna love or hate. They'll be super interesting anyway, and stick around to the end because this is some valuable information and it just helps my video out if you stay for the full thing and you like the video. That shows YouTube, hey, this is a great video and other people should watch it as well. Now, let's get started. More commonly with escheatment, it's when you lose a loved one and then that property gets sent to the state and you can reclaim it. To find your missing property, you just go to unclaimed.org and they have a map of every state available. You look up your state, you put in your address and your name, and it tells you what property is missing and that is potentially available to you. Now, you can search for yourself, a relative, or a friend. There's actually no rules on this, so you could help somebody out by finding missing property. All you need to know is their name and their address. Just for fun, I looked up Rick Sanchez, and Rick Sanchez is owed a lot of money in a lot of different places. If you want to find your missing money too, check out the description for a blog post that leads you to all those details, or you can directly go to unclaimed.org. Now, when you go to unclaimed.org, they tell you right off the bat, there's a lot of scams. No state will actually try to contact you and tell you you have missing property. They are not going to spend money on telling you that you are missing money. Let's just say if they have excess money of yours, they're not going to bother contacting you. You have to contact them. Interestingly enough, I did not have any property under my name, but I searched for my grandmother. My grandmother passed away over a decade ago, and turns out she has one more gift for me. She has missing property in the sum of over $1,000. Now, this could have been claimed over a decade ago. No one claimed it. None of my relatives know about it. So this could just be my money, or I could just leave it as buried treasure. To claim the money, you just have to have proof that you either know this person or that's you. So the process isn't very complicated, but you can always claim that money before your relatives do. So you could always do that. For me, I decided not to claim this property, and I was just going to tell one of my relatives that needs it more, like, hey, there's this money here, you should take it. That's pretty much it to find your missing treasure. Go to unclaimed.org, look for your state, put in your address and your name. Now, you don't have to be the person. You could actually look for a relative or a friend. And now let's just hear some interesting stories about escheatment or crazy escheatment ideas. So, interesting story. NPR recently had this podcast. On NPR's All Things Considered, they did this story back on this farmer who in the late 90s bought thousands of dollars of Amazon stock. This is thousands of dollars of Amazon stock in the late 90s, which is worth dollars. And now it's worth over $3,000 a share. An insane multiple. You turned $1 into $3,000. So he invested thousands of dollars and he'd be worth millions of dollars today. But he's not. He's only worth $8,000, and that's because of escheatment. Something bad happened. He wanted to let that money sit there, but he let his accounts go idle too long. And the thing is, if your accounts are idle for like 5 years, like you haven't logged in, you haven't checked up on it, you haven't made any transactions, the company might think you died or you went missing. So they think something's happened. So what happens is they surrender that property to the state. The state then sells those stocks, in his case, of Amazon, which gives him the value of $8,000 back when it was sold, and then holds on to that cash value until you claim it. So 20 years after this farmer bought the Amazon stock, he's like, I'm a millionaire, time to cash out. But it didn't work out that way. His account was closed, he was looking for his money, finally found out it was escheated to the state, and he has $8,000 instead of the millions of dollars he should have. Now that is a horrific story and a lesson that everyone should know for these long-term investors who just want to sit by and let your investments accumulate. Now his broker was supposed to reach out to him just to make sure he's alive, they could keep the account active, but they had no success doing that. So that's why it was escheated to the state. This is something I don't want to happen to you, I don't want to happen to me, but it's something that you should be aware of when you're dealing with long-term investments like this. You just got to remember, things might get escheated back to the government if you don't check in. So with that, remember to check in. There's another crazy story here. I love Storage Wars. I got hooked on this show for some time, and I just kept watching Storage Wars because I think it was like a gambling addiction. It's like, oh, how much is this worth? But if you've ever sold anything on eBay, you think that's the value, but it's a lot less. You know, you got to factor in shipping, eBay costs, and the time you have to store it. So there's a lot of other factors that they don't really take into account, and they just say a value, and Storage Wars is like, okay, that's how much the value is, even though they're probably getting significantly less. Okay, here's the crazy thing. I didn't do it, but I did a lot of research on how storage containers work. So here's the scam, or the test. If you rent out a storage container and you stop paying for it, they have to auction off your storage container up until the value that they can get back for the amount owed. So if you owe $300 in fees to the storage facility, they can only take $300, and whatever they sell your locker for, let's say in excess of $300, they sell it for $1,000, they're supposed to give you that $700 that they made. I don't know if that's true or that actually happens, but according to the law, that is supposed to happen. Because we've seen on Storage Wars where storage containers sell for thousands and thousands of dollars because they have valuable items inside.
$700 an hour. So much weigh 3,600 $3,600. Give yourselves like a big top.
Here's the crazy idea I had. What if I just picked up a bunch of TV boxes or computer boxes from, schools, corporations, just places where they're just throwing out these boxes for these high-end equipment, and just filled up those boxes and put them in a storage container. Now, visually, the storage container would look like it's worth over $100,000 in new products, potentially. So let's say the storage container gets a lot of bids for like $10,000, and I only owe the storage facility $300. Then, after someone gets completely ripped off by my empty storage unit, I'm supposed to get $9,700. That, in theory, is supposed to be how it works. Now, I haven't actually experienced this process, and yeah, of course, I think they should get a refund if they find out all the boxes are empty and they're just storing empty boxes, because during the facility check, someone's supposed to check your locker anyway, and they could feel like, oh, all these boxes are like very empty. And in the event that you have like personal items like photo albums, that is supposed to be returned to the owner without any fees. So just a little heads up there. Now, if in the event that the storage facility does not send you the money that you are owed for the excess amount that they made off your storage locker, you could report them to the SEC or any type of a whistleblower program like that. I'm gonna have a video on whistleblowing and how you can make money off that in the future, because snitches get riches. I like that phrase, and I'm gonna be using and I'm gonna be using that in the future.